political TV offerings, the party election broadcasts, the PEBs. Of course, in the broadband age, there's much more than PEBs on offer. A quick browse through YouTube quickly demonstrates elections are now a filmmaker's dream. But we know that you're a traditional lot, and we wouldn't want you to miss out on any of this campaign's official broadcasts that you might not have seen. So grab your popcorn, pour yourself a second gallon of Alsace's finest, and settle down on the sofa while Simon Mayo and Mark Kermode give you their review of the election films of the 2010 campaign.
So what do you make of the releases that we've had this year? We've had a variety. We've had some comedies, some low budgets. What do you think?
Well, I think it is right to judge party political broadcasts as films, because ever since you had, Hugh Hudson doing that sort of Chariots of Fire take on Neil Kinnock, they have properly been films. And you're right, we have the full range of genres this year. What's most notable is how much horror films, which are generally seen as the most reviled genre of filmmaking, completely dominate the party political broadcast. They are all about scaring people. They're all about saying, oi, vote for us, because everyone else is really frightening.
In which case, let's start with a couple of Labour broadcasts, like Nightmare on Your Street. This is the one directed by Stephen Hopkins, who did Predator and 24, whereby a strange army of Doctor Who-style conservatives knock on people's doors and say, we're going to take your children away.
Within a few weeks of being elected, the Conservatives would stop baby bond payments for families with incomes over £16,000.
Well, crucially, they don't say anything. They do that Doctor Who thing of turning up on your door and just looking like an auton in a terrifying way.
The Tories don't want you to know what they would cut if they win on May the 6th.
It's just simply that if you let these people in, these men will turn up and they will tilt their heads in a sinister way. And that pairs up with, there's another one, which is the one with Sean Pertwee, walking over on a road, what looks like a post-apocalyptic landscape. Seems to have been inspired by that movie, The Road.
There are real signs that we're on the right road.
And he says, well, we have to stay on this road because if we go off the road, if we go off on another path, look what's down there. And what do we see? A shot of total carnage and chaos and a flood, actually a real flood. It's like if you vote for the other people, the plagues of heaven will descend.
We, the Hung Parliament Party, aim to change the very face of politics.
And it's not just the Labour Party. I mean, if you look, for example, at that allegedly comic Tory party broadcast, which is the one about the broadcast on behalf of the hung Parliament, in which they make the gag about hung Parliament with a noose again and again and again. But the whole message is the same. Vote for us, because if you vote for the other guys, you'll get a hung Parliament, and the whole of the world will collapse around you. Be afraid, be very afraid.
Just sticking with the horror theme just for a moment, because it really does work for a lot of these broadcasts. There's good horror and there's bad horror. We'll come to the bad in just a moment. But there's a Danny Boyle feel, 28 Days Later feel to the Lib Dems broadcast.
There is, and actually it's the most technically adept of all of them. It's got Nick Clegg walking through this looks post-apocalyptic landscape in which he's being followed by this strangely animated litter.
Broken promises. There have been too many in the last few years. Too many in the last 30 years.
You watch it and you think, wow, this is really well made, this is really smooth. How are they doing that? Is it a special effect? Have they superimposed the litter on afterwards? If they haven't, how are they going to clean up? How come he's not tripping over as he walks over the grass? The problem is, I'm not listening to anything he's saying. I've seen it now 5 or 6 times just to figure out whether he's walking down the street or whether he's walking the studio, not to figure out whether his fiscal policies make any sense.
Only the BNP will look after our pensioners. That's why we're voting British National Party.
Let's talk about bad filmmaking then.
OK, yes.
The BNP party election broadcast, very interesting. I don't think many people have criticised them. They've criticised them for a lot of things.
Yeah.
So far, they haven't been really criticised for their total inability to find a microphone that works.
So it's staggering, isn't it? All the things that are wrong with the BNP, but the most rewarding thing here is the fact that they are the worst filmmakers in the whole world.
I'm not here to flatter and deceive, to promise everything to everyone.
Apparently made without real equipment. I mean, it's like a cardboard desk. The sound quality is like somebody got, you used to get a tin can with a piece of string. Is the leader of the party on the other end of the piece of string? Yes, off you go then. It's just abysmal.
So we've had a variety of leading men, if you like, and some interesting ones as well, some using comedy, some using tragedy. We've had Ross Kemp, David Cameron. Hey, get that, a party leader in a party election broadcast.
How many people do you need to change a country? Answer, all of them.
David Cameron puts in a leading performance in his own broadcast.
He does. But the weird thing about it is, firstly, I think he looks incredibly stiff.
I want to help mothers like Julie, supporting the strong families that are the bedrock of a strong society.
He's meant to be doing the whole Ronald Reagan thing. I think, you know, I'm an actor and I'm a politician. But in fact, he's not very good at it. But what's interesting is that particular broadcast is shot in a style which is kind of social realist, Mike Leigh type. You know, hey, I'm in a garden, there's a shed, and here are some people, and it's Britain.
My name's Julie. I'm married, I have 2 children, and I live in Llandudno in North Wales.
Funnily enough, stylistically, that advert is much closer to what you used to associate with left-wing politics.
That's one irony. The other one, I guess you could say, is that none of this matters. They've put in a lot of money, a lot of effort, a lot of time getting famous people to do these party election broadcasts, whereas actually people have stopped watching them and all they talk about is the TV debate.
Yeah, well, I don't watch television, Simon, so I wouldn't know about that.
That's not very helpful, really.
But true.
So, worst movie of the week?
Well, clearly the worst movie of the week is the BNP's broadcast, which, I mean, really, it's one of those things, it makes oversexed rug suckers from Mars look like Citizen Kane.
OK, so we finish on movie of the week. Which was your favourite?
Purely on cinematic terms, as a piece of cinema, it's The Lib Dems, by a million miles.
Well, Mark, thank you very much indeed. And, of course, normally I'd say see you in 5 years, but maybe we'll be doing it again in a couple of months.
Simon and Mark with some very astute points there, though. I like that movie about the rugsuckers from